Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. Well, clearly, as you can see with this smorgasbord in front of me, we are here to talk about fragrances, perfume, cologne, eau de toilette. Whatever you call it, we're going to turn it on its side and talk about cologne in relationship to James Bond. Now, we're going to cover a lot of different things. We're going to cover movies, Bond girls. We're going to cover the literary Bond. We're going to cover the actor's influence. This is a pretty detailed one. I want to give you kind of a heads up. You may want to go fix yourself a drink. I'll wait. You can press pause. That's technology for you, because this is going to be a decent one. We're going to cover a lot of things with fragrances. And let's start with some of the basics, because I fall within the 80% tile of men who don't wear fragrances regularly. So there's 20% that do, 80% that don't. The 80% will do it every now and then. They get dressed up, they put on a fragrance that they like, and they go out the door. 20% of you wear it on a regular basis. It's part of who you are. And let's start with that. So let's start by going over the reasons why people wear fragrances. Well, they do it to attract people, believe it or not. And women in particular have a highly enlightened sense of smell. And that's a good thing, and that can be a bad thing. As most people know, bad smells do crop up. So a cologne or fragrance, I'm not going to go so far as to say it can mask it, but it can make your natural scent a little bit more positive, a little more even-toned, and a little bit more fragrant. The other thing is it can create confidence. And this is an interesting one. The smell, the olfactory senses are tied to your emotional senses, your brain directly. So that smell, that aromatherapy, if you will, can create a certain amount of confidence. And the third one, and this is probably the most popular, is that many men, and women for that matter, feel that their essence, their look, they've got their clothing, maybe they have their makeup, they have their hair styled, they have their watch, they have all the things we talk about the Bond experience, but one of your senses, your sense of smell, needs to be a part of the equation. Well, that's where fragrances come into place. It is that nearly invisible connection, and if you make it a Bond connection, it can create an experience. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion of a lot of different scents that have a Bond association. Does that mean you should go out and buy these? Probably not, because that's not how you shop for fragrances. This is so based on opinion. There are some good techniques and there are some bad ways to do this. So when you go to a mall or a shop and you smell a fragrance, the way you should do it is, sometimes they'll put this on a little piece of paper. What you really should do is try to put just a little bit on your wrist. Don't rub it. We're going to talk about that in a second. Put on your wrist, walk around. Smell it first of all, right off the bat. Walk around. Try to walk around. Give it like 30 minutes. Smell it again. Leave. Go walk to other shops, walk around, come back. A couple hours later, 3 to 5 hours later, smell it again. Then if you like it, go buy it. Why is that? Well, let me tell you something, and boy, are you going to become an aficionado. Imagine the cocktail hours you're going to have talking about fragrances. There are top, middle, and bottom notes to every fragrance. That top note is that light note, but it's the one you first smell. When you spray something and you're like, whoa, I just got a rush of tobacco, or I just got a rush of citrus. Those are your top notes, and they tend to disappear anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours. The middle notes are what I like to call the core notes. The core notes are the ones that really make up the crux of it. So if it's vanilla, if it's a coffee smell, those are the ones that are going to stick around 3.5 to 5 hours, maybe even more. And those bottom notes are the subtleties. The bottom ones are the ones that really kind of connect and surround sound a lot of those aspects. And won't you be intelligent when you talk about fragrances? But that's why you need to spend a little bit of time with a fragrance. Okay. Let's get into James Bond. If James Bond was to be seen in a movie putting on a fragrance, I'm hoping there would be some ways he would do it and some ways he wouldn't. So let's talk about the wrong ways to put on any kind of cologne or fragrance. Number one, do not put them on clothing. I see so many times, or I hear about people spraying it on a clothing, spray it on their neckline around their clothing, spray it on top of their suit. Most colognes, most fragrances are oils and solvents, okay? Which means it can eat away at clothing, it can stain clothing, and a lot of them are alcohol-based. So you want to be very careful with spraying them. And you don't actually spray them on to the fabric. Some people, what they do is, and I think this is kind of cool, is they'll spray it onto their pocket handkerchief or a handkerchief, and they'll put it in there and it kind of releases, which kind of a neat idea. You also don't want to do, and there have been so many people that said, David, you know what you got to do? You got to spray it in front of you and walk into it. Just do like a, you know, just do a flash run right into it. That's also not a preferred method either, because most of your very expensive cologne ends up on the floor, and then the rest of you just hits your clothing anyway. So no. You also don't want to try to spray it on your neck. You can use a little bit in the back, but if you want to spray it onto your finger and put it onto your back, don't rub it in. It breaks up the particles. Every perfumer, cologne maker in the world will tell you don't rub it in. You know, you see people go like this, especially women. Don't do that, because it actually breaks it up and breaks up the smell and the components and doesn't last as long. Couple things to do. The best thing to do, this is what they say, so don't hammer me, is to spray some on your chest. So you just come out of the shower, you moisturize up, whatever you do, and then you spray some onto your chest. Why? You want to put it in the heating areas. There's a couple parts of your body that heat up, and as they heat up, the fragrance gives off slowly. It's almost like one of those plugins, you know, it heats up and it gives off the scent. So your chest is a very good way to do it, because it slowly rises to you. It's not overt. Other good ones are your pulse points, they say, but again, don't rub it in. Just put a little bit, maybe a little bit on the back of the neck, not on the sides. You will break out. It is alcohol. The other thing is, with a lot of these colognes, when you put them on, I'm begging you, look at me. I'm nearly down on my knees. Do not overspray. Don't overuse. You're not a high schooler with Axe spray spraying yourself from top to bottom. This is something where you don't want to go into an elevator and people start choking. There's an interesting quote around cologne and fragrances that says, a really good cologne or a fragrance should be discovered. Let's think about that for a second. Should be discovered. That means somebody comes close to you, or they're with you for a certain amount of time, and then suddenly it's like, whoa, what was that? That was subtle. The word subtle, which I'm not being, but because I want to really bake this into people. If you're sitting there squirting it up and you're like, I can smell it, it's too much. Okay, so please, I mean, I've gagged when I've been by people, and don't. You can always apply more, but it's really hard to rip cologne off of you. So try not to. Go low and go slow. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about all of these fragrances in front of us. We're going to talk about some of the history, some of the connection. I told you this was going to be a pretty detailed one. You can still get that drink. It's not too late. What do you mean it's the morning? You never heard of a Bloody Mary? Go fix something, and we're going to reposition ourselves to talk about each one of these. Okay, we're going to start off nearly in chronological order. We're going to start off with Ian Fleming himself and the literary bond. We have to, because the nice thing is Ian Fleming was incredibly descriptive. It's what we love about his books, one of the aspects at least, that he's very descriptive about the accoutrements surrounding the bad guy and Bond and what Bond encounters. So one of the things we got to talk about is Floris. So Floris is a company that is mentioned in both Moonraker and Diamonds Are Forever. There's Floris bath soaps and different things in the bathroom in that particular novel. What I'm showing you right now here is the shaving bowl and soap from Floris. And this right here is the Floris number 89. Now, Floris is a favorite of Ian Fleming. He would wear Floris, so he probably wore Floris cologne. This is the Eau de Toilette right here. And this right here is the aftershave. So you can see there, the bottles are fantastic. They are incredibly cool in the sense of really hearkening back. And we're going to give these smell tests. So we have these little pieces of paper over here, and we're going to go off and we're going to smell them. So I'm going to start with the Eau de Toilette. let's put some of the accoutrements up here. So we're going to start with the eau de toilette. A lot of people are big fans of florists, so let's smell this. Oh, that's very nice. I'm picking up, like, immediately kind of a orange blossom, lavender type smell, which I think those are different aspects in here. It's very nice. It's very light. I would say it could definitely be unisex, the way it smells. And again, it's got that 1730 established British brand type essence. Whoa, it's really coming up. By the way, that's why we're going to be stopping in between each one of these so we can kind of let things kind of disappear a little bit. And I'm not putting these directly onto my skin. That's a great way to smell them, but Florist gets thumbs up from me. I would definitely and have worn it. The Florist experience in the shops is fantastic. They embrace the Bond brand and the association with Ian Fleming, so you gotta love that aspect. Now the next one we have to talk about is GOF Trumper, and what's neat about this is GOF Trumper is mentioned directly, the Eucharist brand, in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the novel, but we do know also that Ian Fleming loved the GOF Trumper lime, West Indies lime scent. And by the way, I already know what this smells like because it spilled on me by accident when I was setting this up just now. This is what I do for you people. And it smells amazing. It's so light. I mean, it's lime. It's light. It's refreshing. You can imagine Fleming, who loved his island time, to put this on, and it's very light. And I bet you it gets even lighter as the notes change. You know, maybe you go to those middle notes throughout the day. But what's really cool here, and I'm going to try to read you this quote. So if you take a look at this Eucharist hairdressing right here, Eucharist is GOF Trumper's own scent. And there's a quote taken from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, obviously the book, where Trumper's mentioned when Bond visits Marc D'Angelo Draco in Marseille and finds Eucharist in his bathroom. So Eucharist has a direct correlation. You could see that this is down a little bit because I've used this. This is the Eucharist Perfect Dressing Shake Bottle Well, established 1875. The smell on this is so light. It's nearly no smell at all. The hairdressing, quite frankly, did not keep my unruly hair in place, so I used it as a Bond experience moment, and then I didn't use it again. There's a lot of oils in here. I don't like to put a lot of oils. It's not exactly non-comedogenic, but it's traditional, and it smells great. So that Eucharist smell or the lime smell for GOF Trumper, to me, is a winner. It's a lighter scent, but it's a very traditional scent. You can definitely get into that Fleming literary Bond mode just by channeling it. Oh my gosh, I would have been rattled in the head by several people if I didn't mention this, but the Skyfall, the shave box that you see in the movie Skyfall, which was a wonderful 50th birthday present from good friends of mine, has the GOF Trumper shave bowl and the brush incorporated into it. So again, it's that alignment. It's got that wonderful smell, very Bond, very subtle that they put it in there, and had to mention that aspect. Boy, would I've gotten in trouble for that. The next experience we're moving to is Pinode. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So we have two examples right here, really good examples. So this was mentioned also in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It was one of those situations where Bond shampoos his hair with the Prince of all shampoos, Elixir shampoo with quinine Pinode of Paris. And I'm very happy to say I have one of the incredibly rare bottles of shampoo. This is the larger one, and this is the smaller one right here. I'll bring that in close so you can see the details. These are in the original packaging. Oh my gosh, I don't even know when this was packaged, but it was made in France. And here's the sickening part. You ready for a great Bond experience story? I wound up, you can see it's kind of down, I wound up opening this and using this shampoo because I'm about the Bond experience. I don't know if you heard. So I wanted to try this and not just keep it in a box. So sure enough, I did. And then about a week later, I heard that these were going for about $1,200, $1,500 if the thing wasn't uncapped. Oh, David. Anyway, it's money. I would have wanted to use it anyway. My gosh, it's an On Her Majesty's Secret Service moment. It's Bond. This smell of Pinaud's, and guess what? I can open it now that you've heard that horrible story, has, and I don't know if it's time that it's been subtle, but it's a very subtle scent. I found it very invigorating. Again, I don't know if it's the age. I may have to be rushed to a hospital, but I found it to be almost like tingling. You know, like a shampoo, like a, I don't know, like if you had a medical shampoo or something like that. I don't know, it was something minty or something about it that made it tingle. And I think it's the quinine. Don't you love the way I pronounce things? It's not charming, is it? So I love this. If you can find it on eBay, there's a race. Go race off to eBay and try to find one of these just to experience it. They may be running really high. I didn't check, but they're so cool. And the bottles are so unique. I don't know if I'll be able to get the details of that, but they're those old glass bottles that are kind of, you know, raised and etched, just really subtle. And to me, they scream out literary Bond, and what a fun moment in a great book that you can experience. Okay, so now we're going to jump a little bit to more of a modern day type aspect and some of the licensed smells. So these are fragrances, perfume, colognes that have been licensed as Bond related aspects. So here we go. This one right here. This is 007 brand, James Bond Signature Edition. So this was released in 2012. Let's see what it says here. Notes of apple, cardamom, sandalwood, vetiver, lavender, moss, and coumarin that will give you a retro feel. And you're going to see that the 007 is embossed on the front. Really nice packaging. They would sell this all over the place, Amazon, Kohl's, etc. I am going to be frank with you. I have not even opened this yet. I haven't even smelled it. So there it is. Pretty cool bottle. It looks almost like it's carbon fiber, if you will, but it's glass. It's got the 007 on it, obviously. So we're going to turn it and spray it. Turn it and spray it. Not as easy as you would think. Oh, because it's got all this protective stuff on it. There we go. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, I'm sorry I'm going off camera, but we have these little fragrance swatches that kind of do the trick over here. Okay. Not horrible. Not, this is going to be terrible, but not as bad as I expected. It's becoming a little overpowering, even as I stand here. Boy, I'll tell you what, a little dab will do you on this. A little dab will do you. I wouldn't use too much of this. To me, it's got kind of a smell that is a little too obvious. I know that sounds strange. What does that even mean, David? What I mean by too obvious is it smells like so many other brands. It's not distinct or unique. There's a lot of people that get into private labels or, you know, creating your own because they want something very unique and distinct and personalized. This to me just smells like it is, and you know, it's not overpowering me. It doesn't scream Bond. I don't know what would scream Bond, but this certainly does not. Okay, this next one we're going to have a little bit of fun with because and I don't know if you knew this, there's a 007fragrances.com. Did you know that there was a 007fragrances.com? Check it out. You're gonna have a lot of fun because they have a lot of different fragrances that have a connection to the movies. And you may remember that on one of our previous vlogs, we talked about Quantum, James Bond Quantum. Now, it was more of a tongue-in-cheek. It was around the Christmas holidays. I said, if your loved one's looking for a budget Bond gift, how much fun would it be to get this Quantum? This is the deodorant spray, and this is the deodorant stick. And it was a little bit of fun, and I said, this smells not too bad. But what happened was the deodorants wound up selling out. You can't get them on 007 fragrances because it looks like a lot of people decided to get that as a gift. Okay, now from a scent standpoint, this is supposed to have top notes of juniper berries and bergamot. Bergamot. What the heck is a bergamot? I'm not going to look it up. You can look it up. The heart of it is sandalwood. The base is leather and violet leaf. All right. So I'm going to, this is the deodorant. No, it's not the cologne. So let's check it out. Okay. All right, so I guess I have some issues with here because the number one ingredient for this is alcohol. So spraying alcohol under your arm, I'm not a big believer in it. And by the way, this is a little tip I should have said in the very beginning. People, do not spray your crotch area with fragrance, perfume, or cologne. Ever. I get it. There may be an opportunity where the southern regions of your world may be explored, but it's alcohol-based. It can really rip apart your pores and do some damage. So don't do that. Don't do that, okay? But this is deodorant, so it's supposed to be used in certain regions. I'd be careful of it. It might burn. The smell's not too bad. I don't know if I'm picking up juniper berries or sandalwood. You know what? Sandalwood. I got it. I got it right there. Sandalwood. All right. I got the sandalwood. I don't know if that says to me quantum. I would think quantum you'd want an oil-based smell. Maybe smell that, you know what, that was a joke, but what about something that smelled more like water? You know, something, and what does water smell like? But it smells clean and fresh, and it has notes of oceanic, who knows what, or maybe like a desert scent, you know, something musty. Musty? Musky? This is why I don't do this for a living. But the quantum stuff is good, and it was fun, and again, these are whimsical. You have this sitting in your Bond bathroom or your Bond, cave, if you will, and it's just fun. So we had to talk about something for the Bond girl in your life, obviously. So let's talk about Bond Girl 007. So there's the bottle. Check that out. And by the way, the bottle was designed to mimic a woman's figure. So how about that? Pretty cool. I like it. I think it's a designed, very, very nicely designed bottle. From a look standpoint, it looks feminine to me. The ad campaign was really cool, though. This is obviously around Quantum of Solace time. You can see the bottle there with Gemma Erden, and then the bottle on the back. And what was neat about this is there was a UK box, if you will, and yes, I did order one, where you got this whole package of Bond Girl goodies. You've got, shampoos, and you've got lotions, and they also had a kit. And oh boy, let's see if you can see this or not. Who knows if this is picking it up, but it is a Bond Girl 007 compact mirror. Hello, kind of neat. Cool stuff. Let's see how it smells, though. So we'll spray this over here. Okay, that's my first impression. Not bad, not bad. So this fragrance, it has a sexy cocktail. I'm going, whoa. Sexy cocktail of velvety florals, cool freshness, and warm woods. Top notes of velvety white peach, orange blossom, followed by mid notes of jasmine, calypso orchid, and freesia. It also has down notes of amber, cashmere wood, and patchouli. And as the smell is wafting over, it's nice. I have to tell you, it's if I smelled this on a woman, I would find it very attractive and very light, not overpowering. It's nothing that's making my eyes water. It's subtle. It's I would say this is a hit. This was definitely a thumbs up. I know that they created an amazing marketing campaign around this. I know that the scent did pretty well. I didn't hear a lot of people from a collecting standpoint. I had to get it. I can't remember if I did that whole baloney to my wife of, hey, honey, I got it for you, and then put it up on my collecting shelf. I'm trying to think if I did that. There's so many pieces that I do that for. And don't pretend you don't. But I do. I like the smell. It's very pleasant. I'm still smelling it. It's subtle. That's what I like. It's already dissipating, so I would imagine you'd have to get very close to your Bond girl, Bond woman, to appreciate it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it's available. It was available in 2008. I think you could still find these on eBay, though. Okay, this is a pretty wild one for you, and I can almost guarantee a lot of you, there's some of you that have this, a lot of you do not have this. This is Bond, James Bond, perfume. There was a men's version. I think I won this or was gifted this, and this is the woman's version, which I'm totally okay with. But you see it's got some pretty interesting, almost flying saucer-like packaging. This came out in 1997. It wasn't marketed terribly well. Now you can get a better visual of that. All right. It's got a really interesting type of bottle, but the opening top notes are supposed to be Hesperidium fruits. The heart center notes are flowers. The deep bass notes are musk and vanilla. So we're gonna pop the cap. We're gonna do our trusty spray. Okay, so if I compare this, for example, to this one from before, our Bond Girl 007, I would say that I prefer the Bond Girl 007. It's a little lighter. Oh, wow, that one's really coming off now. Woofa! To me, this sounds, don't hurt me out there, older woman? Like grandmother older? Yeah, and I'm not even talking like Chanel No. 5. I'm talking like Jean Naté. I don't know. I can't remember. But it's not a smell that I'm particularly finding alluring. I'm finding it more like I want to help this perfume across the street. I was a Cub Scout, if that makes sense. But cool collector item. I don't know. It sits in my Cologne fragrance area as a nice collector piece, and that's all I can really recommend for it. Sorry, they're not all going to be winners. Okay, so we're going to keep on the theme, the flavor of Bond girls, and we're going to talk about my personal favorite Bond girl. That is Vesper, and from Casino Royale. So at the end, you see this fragrance sitting in with all of her wonderful lifestyle pieces. You know, Bond's sitting on the ship, she's dead, it unravels, and you see this scent. And it was a really nice touch. And it was really one of those moments beside the Vesper Love Knot that you were able to see a glimpse into Vesper and who she was. So I had to get this, and it wasn't inexpensive, but I have a Vesper Lynd area, part of my collection. So let's talk about this. The Melograno Acqua de Colonia, sure I butchered that, by Santa Maria Novella, is used by Vesper Lynd. It has a smell of pomegranate. I know that sounds a little strange, but the fruit of the pomegranate plant, originally from Persia, found depicted in the ancient Egyptian tombs and many of the greatest works of art. The fragrance mixes the tart taste of pomegranate with an insistent powdery floral undertone and is perfect for day or night. Let's try this. And here's a little bit of a cheat. I've already tried this. There's different versions of this, but this is the one you can dab. And you know what? I'm just going to do it right here. Oh, crap. Too much. So, by the way, in many cases, nearly every scent, every fragrance can be used unisex. There are some that are slightly more masculine than others, but many people, men, women, doesn't matter, they wear this. This is fantastic. I got to tell you, I was shocked. When I first got it, I just kind of kept it in the box, and it was a collecting item. And then one day I'm like, yeah, I want to see what Vesper smelled like. Creepy. And I smelled it, and it was just very pleasant. This is so subtle. It's got some really great notes. One of the things is I told you it's not inexpensive, but the tiniest little dab goes a long way. I put it on one morning just to try it out. Had a very active day. I could still smell notes of it. And I mean, I just put a little dab on one wrist throughout the entire day as things got heated up. So it's one of these amazing scents. The bottle looks uber cool. Very neat. And again, not a bad gift if you have a Bond girl in your life that you wouldn't mind having this really subtle scent with. Okay, so now we move in even a little bit closer to the man himself, Daniel Craig. And I know a lot of you have wanted to kind of connect on this. So one of the things that we do know is that Creed, Virgin Island Waters, is something that allegedly he has worn. Now, there's a lot of discussion around this. This is Tom Ford and Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. This is my personal favorite. This is my go-to. Spray a little bit on my chest. and off I go. The reason I love this one so much, and I've been wearing it for years, is he was gifted some of these. This is one of the aspects that he was gifted, I think on several occasions. So there's an assumption that maybe he's used it if he's used this gift or, you know, what he received. But there is no direct correlation. Thankfully, nobody has any spy cams watching Daniel Craig put on cologne. So it's an assumptive thing, but it's one of Tom Ford's favorite, Tobacco Vanille. It smells amazing. So let me read the description for you a little bit. Tobacco Ford, London-inspired scent, reminiscent of an English gentleman's club, redolent with spice, classic fragrance, with creamy tonka bean, vanilla, cocoa, dried fruit accords, sweet wood sap for a modern, opulent, and almost heady impression. Tobacco Vanille has rich spices, vanilla, and tobacco flower. It leaves an impression. Yes, it does. This is the type of thing that gets better over time. It gets better throughout the day. That's one of the reasons why I like it. I never get sick of it. It's unique. I have so many times when people will smell this and say, what is that? You know, they'll be curious about it. Then they'll be complimentary of it. So to me, this is like the perfect scent. What you can do when you travel is you get these Tom Ford little atomizers. They come in these neat little bags, so you could take it with you and refresh yourself throughout the day if you want, etc. But Creed, Tom Ford Vanille, they're probably the closest that we know to things that Daniel Craig wears. Now here's a nice little tidbit. Something that Bond, the Daniel Craig Bond, could have definitely worn is this right here. This is the Jerime Street alcohol-free aftershave. And this particular smell right here, oh my gosh, aftershave lotion's been especially formulated with alcohol for sensitive skin. This smells so light and wonderful. Again, it's the Jerime Street alcohol-free aftershave, and allegedly it was the aftershave that you see in James Bond's aftershave box, the one we showed you earlier from Skyfall. So who knows? Maybe Daniel Craig on set said, I need a little freshening up. Meow, 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 meow. I don't know. Who knows what sound he makes? That was weird. So that's an amazing scent. Well, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was fun for you. You explored the world of Bond fragrances, perfume, cologne, eau de toilette, aftershave, shampoo. My gosh, you had a little bit of everything in there, didn't you? But go out and experiment. It's a lot of fun. Again, it is one of these things where you've got all these great senses. You've got eyesight, you've got hearing, you've got taste, you've got touch, and yeah, you've got smell. So experiment with these types of things. It's a very Bondian, Ian Fleming type moment. Have fun with it. And I want to hear all about your experiences. So do me a favor, in the comments, this is a call to action for all of you. I want to hear, what are your favorite scents? They don't have to be Bond scents, but if they are, even better. Let me know what your opinion is underneath here, and let's start the conversation going. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience, and we'll see you very soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.